Greetings, friends. Well, today we're going to discuss a new scandal, a global scandal, a universal scandal has happened. And of course, once again, it's connected to Ukraine. And specifically, what happened? The number one podcaster in the world, attention, the number one podcaster in the world, George, a global star, a highly respected person in America. He told Zelensky to get lost in a very harsh way, which immediately caused a stir in the Ukrainian information space. We'll talk about propaganda a bit later. An explosion happened. Oh, George, he told off the Ukrainians in Ukraine. No, that didn't actually happen. And I specifically used artificial intelligence to translate that episode into Ukrainian. To avoid bias, we used artificial intelligence to translate it specifically into Ukrainian, not Russian. I published it on my Telegram channel, and for those who aren't subscribed, I'm sharing it here right now.
Zelensky says that Putin is scared. And he left. You all left, you damn people. You're going to start World War III. Yes, this is madness. Today, Russia launched a missile. Yes, for the first time, they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile. It's the first time they've used one like that. This is madness. Complete madness. Because these missiles can carry nuclear warheads. This one didn't. But if it did, the world would change because of the military-industrial complex. Because of that. The money that's going to Ukraine, and because the president or whoever is running the country decided to do something absolutely insane. Complete madness. We all see it, and yet people still support it. Cable news network said they finally saw their headline about how Biden gave Zelensky long-range missiles. American long-range ones. As if someone doesn't know where they're from. As if someone doesn't know that we're funding this. It's a proxy, a war. All of this is complete madness. It's madness. Sit down at the negotiating table. Sit down.
As we can see, Rogan specifically sent Zelensky and everyone involved, those involved in igniting World War III. And actually, you know what? I was surprised by the complaint from propagandists on our side as well. World War III and Putin isn't escalating? Let's break it down. General Zaluzhny himself stated just days ago that World War III has already begun.
I believe that in 2024 we can absolutely say that World War III has begun.
Rogan didn't share any secrets, mysteries, or insider info here. Now, as for whether Putin is escalating, let me explain the difference to you. Putin is the aggressor. Putin initially attacked Ukraine. Right now, the situation at the front and overall is such that Putin, being a scoundrel but strong, is holding us by the throat. Therefore, his actions cannot be considered escalation by definition, since he was the aggressor from the very beginning. The weak non-playing side is desperate, lacking anyone or anything to fight with, plagued by corruption, with billions stolen or earned from the war by Zelensky, his group, and the Ukrainian state apparatus. We can only escalate instead of trying to lower the level of tension and come to peaceful negotiations. Lastly, to honestly state, there will be a compromise. Zelensky and all the propagandists know this, except for the lowest level ones paid just to yap on social media. That's why using the correct terminology matters. I don't like it, but I'm not a propagandist. We're discussing things objectively and focusing on facts. Many public pages on the social network X immediately started reaching out to Joe Rogan, and there are some figures there who were apparently paid off by our propaganda. I didn't catch them in the act, but it seems like English speakers keep saying, "Joe, invite Zelensky to your podcast." You understand yourself that Zelensky would never go on Joe Rogan's podcast. He won't go to Tucker Carlson or Lex Fridman. Why? Because Zelensky is not able to speak to the point on camera without a prepared script, with questions pre-approved by Podolyak. And if Yermak isn't sitting next to him whispering answers in his ear, Zelensky can't just sit down. Yes, for 15 minutes he can give a comment to some Western pseudo-journalist. I call them mic stands. Somewhere where the stench of Soros's people is nearby, he can do it, but he could never do it for an independent person. Especially for 2-3 hours, when your nerves are shot, you're tired, and there are tough, real questions. He's not capable of that, so stop bringing up Joe Rogan. Zelensky refuses to appear on his or any major independent podcast. Kuleba popped up and said, "Joe, invite me, you know your stuff, I know mine, I'll tell you everything." Kuleba is our former foreign minister. Cigars are on me, Kuleba, but who needs you? Boring faces don't work in diplomacy or media. Joe Rogan isn't interested in you. He's more likely to invite me to discuss Ukraine. Calm down and relax. If Kuleba didn't surprise you, then Volodya Klitschko, the brother of Vitaly, the mayor of Kiev, appeared and recorded a video message. I won't translate his voice, but I'll add subtitles. Please listen.
Joe Rogan, listen to your latest podcast. I'm sending this video to let you know that I disagree. You talk about these American weapons being sent to Ukraine, which you believe will lead to the Third World War. So let me tell you that you're repeating Russian propaganda. Putin's Russia is in trouble, so they want to scare you and people like you. His war was supposed to last 3 days. It has lasted 3 years, thanks to the heroism and sacrifice of us Ukrainians. So you're using the only weapon that Putin really intends to use, propaganda, and this weapon really weakens our democracies. Putin's Russia wants to destroy Ukraine quietly. They want America to stay quiet, not great, but quiet. A great America is not an America that abandons countries that defend freedom with their lives. In short, you see, I have quite a few points of difference. If you invite me on your podcast, we could discuss them like free men.
Don't, Volodya. Vitaly is Zelensky's. They have such a war with Zelensky's. How can it be? He says. Joe Rogan repeated Russian propaganda. What does Russian propaganda mean? Escalation is a fact. What the world needs, and President Trump leads the world and is going to make the world, is also a fact. Did Joe Rogan sit down and say, oh? He said, whether Putin takes Ukraine quickly, acts as an aggressor, or does everything right, Ukraine shouldn't surrender. We don't need a third world war. He only said these attacks are an escalation. Again, he sent Zelensky but didn't involve Ukraine or its people. Rogan doesn't resent or hate the people of Ukraine. Volodya, why is that? Moreover, I noticed that when Volodya works for the Western audience, I think he finished acting courses in Hollywood. He has a kinder face. He can put a smile somewhere. But when Volodya addresses the Ukrainian audience, he changes his face sharply. And when they are next to Vitaly, I recommend it. The last interview they gave together was a long time ago. It was before the war. Our stand under the microphone. Sonia Koshkina. It seems like Volodya and Vitaly were ready to fight all Ukrainians and anything bothering them. Such hatred and aggression, just like Zelensky had on their faces. Volodya works more loyally for, but Volodya doesn't need to get involved in. I know he's being groomed for politics, it's true, but he won't succeed. He relies on his media image and is respected in the West. I emphasize thanks to sports success, and everyone acknowledges the greatness of the sports brothers Klitschko. But you don't need to get into politics using sports achievements. This is a completely different thing. The most interesting thing is that Volodya himself, at the beginning of the war, said that he does not want to die for Ukraine. He prefers to live for it. And I welcome this approach. Volodya is young and ready to continue the war. Yes, they filmed a television show in Germany where they are in armor, almost like Schwarzenegger when he filmed Commando. He is covered, strapped in, preparing weapons. But in reality, this was not the case. Volodya isn't at the front. Instead, he appears on camera telling the Western audience nonsense while others fight and die at the front. And at the same time, Zelensky is tearing Ukraine to pieces, and in fact, he is completely destroying our state. Isn't this hypocritical? Volodya Klitschko, as a world boxing champion, deserves to live, but a tractor driver, taxi driver, or farmer is expected to die. Excuse me, I don't accept such a philosophy of life and I do not agree with it. And now let's figure it out further. Let's rewind a little and see how the zombie audience is being brainwashed. Our Ukrainian enemy number one in Ukraine, Donald Trump. Why? Well, because he stands for peace. He will provide weapons and financial aid. But he is going to arrange the capitulation of Ukraine. He is going to impose a forced peace on both sides. Take Putin the dictator, for example. Take things down a notch and stop it. Enemy number one, twice the President of the United States, the richest man in the Guinness records, as someone who went through tough times and came out with a huge gain. A founder of global capitalism. The enemy of Ukraine is determined. Who is the enemy of Ukraine? Number two, Elon Musk. In general, the greatest man at the moment, the richest in the world, who leads history, who makes those innovations that even in 1,000 years people will still write and talk about everywhere. Is the person who provided Starlink to Ukraine and helped our army really our enemy? He didn't have to give it, but he gave it for free. Where is the logic? Do you understand who is Ukraine's number 3 enemy? From top podcaster Joe Rogan, whose Spotify podcast sold for $200 million and is loved by all of America. And now attention, let's just at least for a second, I do all sorts of Zelabots more or less, count on sane people. Zelabots don't look, nothing to see. Let's think logically. If we have enemies, the greatest people, world-renowned, and especially our partner, the United States. And how does it happen? How does it happen? And we are good. How does it happen that we are so good, smart, right, and understand everything? Damn, the country couldn't be 100% complete in 33 years. Did we, so smart and good, allow our country to become a corruption dump? Where there was a war in the center of Europe, where we couldn't get along with our neighbors, and we became so weak that Putin the cannibal could attack us. How did it happen? And people like Trump, Musk, and Joe Rogan. And there are those who create everything in this world that the whole civilization uses. Everything that America thrives on, everything we rely on. Give. Everything we can't do or manage ourselves. But they declared everyone enemies. And now what kind of associations do we have, dear viewers? Does it remind you of anything? So it's the same Russians there. You don't like Putin. The enemy is America, wanting to capture something, the damned West, the decaying West. So you turned off the propaganda, I'm talking to vegetables. You turned into the same Russians, but honestly under Ukrainian flags. Most often in the language. You understand and grasp this thought. You're not afraid of it. You are the same. You declare as enemies the people with whom you should be friends. You declare as enemies the people who have achieved a lot in life, in fair competition with their professionalism. They are not capable, but you are, and you continue to lead Ukraine to ruin. You want an endless war we can't sustain financially or physically, and never could. Here it was necessary to sign the Istanbul Agreement with some rights. I emphasize it would have been better, and now we are waiting for a really painful option and the end of the war. We acted this way because we listened to people like Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson isn't Ukraine's president. Zelensky is. It was Zelensky, not Johnson, who acted on all this nonsense. For nearly 3 years of war, you still haven't learned. Tomorrow someone else will speak sense and you'll call them an enemy. In Ukraine today, speaking common sense and accepting it is labeled extremism, and those who do so are called enemies of the people. This is a complete copy of Russia. This is the legal KGB propaganda school you are attending under Putin's regime, and you are building the same thing in Ukraine today. You share the same idol and leader. With Zelensky, Joe Rogan looks handsome and you're embarrassed. Just a reminder. For normal people, the homeland is not the president's ass, not Zelensky's ass. The homeland is Ukraine, so if Joe Rogan sent Zelensky, he didn't send Ukraine or Ukrainians. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Subscribe. Bye.